What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to another trout fishing tips video here on the channel. Today we're going to talk through the top 5 spring trout fishing baits to help you catch more trout when you hit the water in the spring. Now, my number 1 spring trout fishing bait is gotta be Powerbait, and here's why. When you're talking early spring trout fishing, Powerbait is very versatile, and what I mean by that is you have different colors, different scents, glitter, non-glitter Powerbait. So when you're going out to chase spring trout, Powerbait gives you a whole variety of options that you have when you hit the water based off of the conditions, the water level, and whether a place has been stocked or not. When I know a lake or a pond has got a lot of new stalker trout in it, I will pretty much run 100% Powerbait. Now, the 2 colors and scents that I like to run in the spring the most is the yellow corn and just the plain yellow with the glitter. Now, spinners is my second favorite spring trout fishing bait, and here's why. With spinners, you've got the flash of the blade coming through the water, and especially in the early spring, the flash from, say, silver or gold or copper blades will add that extra bling in the water that'll attract the trout from long distances, or if they're closer into the bank, you'll get them to really chase down a spinner and go hit that bait really, really hard. And besides the flash, throwing spinners is great because you can cover a lot of ground along the bank. You can cover a lot of water, whether it's casting short, medium, and as far as you can with spinners. And these are pretty versatile where you can swap these out pretty quickly, change colors, change sizes, change styles of spinners. Maybe go with a Panther Martin, go with a Yakima bait rooster tail. Spinners are really versatile, and especially if you're bank fishing and you're covering a lot of ground, you definitely want to have your set of spinners with you to go after spring trout. Now, next up on the list is actually like salmon or trout eggs, and there's a variety of different ones on the market, but I like the addicted eggs that you can also use for steelhead fishing. I like to actually use these for trout fishing. The reason being is you can get different colors of pink and orange to match and kind of go with the water colors that you're seeing in that early springtime. And the great thing about these is you can add scent to the containers to add in, say, garlic or night crawlers, so even as you go into the spring and into the summertime, these are versatile so that you can use these more than in just the springtime and carry those over into the summer, which is fantastic. Or take one out of the container at a time and maybe put a little rooster tail spray on there of the scent that you want. But I just like fishing these either off the bottom or underneath a bobber with some split shot. These eggs have been a new versatile bait that I've gone to for spring trout fishing, especially in shallow and clear water, either plunking with these or having these underneath a bobber. I've had some really epic days using these eggs, and the versatility of these specific eggs, because they aren't scented, can allow you to add different scents and change up what you're doing and carry these into the summer, because a lot of the scents that we like to use in the spring, you also like to use in the summer. So these eggs you can use for about a month or 2 if you fish really, really hard, and you're gonna get your money's worth out of them. Now, if you're deciding to head out for some spring trout fishing and you're fishing from the boat, you're gonna wanna go with plugs. And here's why. With plugs, you get the motion in the water, which is great. So you're covering a lot of water behind the boat, and that action will bring in the fish. Secondly, you can downsize to really small sizes. And what I've got here is the Yakima bait Maglib, and this is about a 3.0 version, but you can get down to a 2.0, which is much smaller. And those plugs allow you to dive down into the water without having to use extra weights to dive it down, but also you may be able to fish right in the right depth. And once you find that right depth of the plug and the fish are there, it's gonna be an epic day of fishing. Third, you can add scent to these plugs as well. So between sight, scent, and sound, especially with the rattle of these plugs, you're gonna get the fish's attention, you're gonna be able to get some motion in the water, and then you've got that scent to come in and attract the trout in the early spring. So when I'm trolling from the boat for spring trout, I've got plugs with me, and I've also got spinners with me when it comes to trolling, and those are my 2 go-tos, but I would go with the plug first when I'm going from the boat. And then the final bait is gonna be jigs and flies. And of course, when you're talking about trout fishing early spring, fly fishing, of course, you're gonna need a variety of flies. Now, every body of water has different flies that you're gonna fish, so I'm not gonna get into very specific colors or patterns. It really depends on where you're fishing, what the conditions are, and just what colors and sizes and varieties make sense for the waters that you're fishing. But I also like jigs, and having those jigs underneath the bobber, especially when there's a little bit of motion on the water, you're fishing really slow, shallow creeks, jigs are just a go-to. And it's been one of the things that I've been fishing a lot more, especially as I got into this when I started steelhead fishing a bunch under bobber and jig. I've really come to find that when it comes to spring trout fishing, having jigs in some of the slow moving water underneath the bobber or an egg per se can be really effective, and you're covering a lot of water and you're covering those seams where the fish are holding up, where the water is maybe warming up just a little bit, and those fish are going to be a little more bite friendly in that early spring. Whereas in winter trout fishing, you really got to place them right in front of them, because when it gets super cold, they're not as willing to bite it. But in the springtime, as weather starts to warm up, maybe you get a little bit higher of water, you can get these jigs right in the right place, and if there's trout there, they're gonna go after these. So grab yourself some jigs, and of course flies if you're going out fly fishing, because you're gonna need those to catch some epic spring trout bites. All right, guys, that's my top 5 spring trout fishing baits. Hope you guys enjoyed. Hope you guys got some tips out of this to help you catch more trout when you hit the water in the spring. Now hit the like button on the video, subscribe if you love trout fishing and other outdoor content, and as always, guys, the outdoors is a gift. Share it with others.